I don't restrict my stuff to just missing and murdered Indigenous women. I definitely push missing and murdered Indigenous women, however. That's because you guys will listen when it's missing and murdered Indigenous women. And then when I post up about Indigenous people who are males or who are children, maybe you'll see them. When it was missing and murdered Indigenous people, you guys just looked the other way. You don't care about men. When you hear about males, your ears turn off. Your give a shit turns off. Now, I've got evidence that shows that I've had to deal with racism, sexism, and bias because of my disabilities. I've shown time and again how people have abused those disabilities or outright lied about my disabilities in order to justify crimes committed against me by them. Over and over. It's nuts. I guess I better set this on the rock or I can't light my tobacco. Here in Hood River, I've already had to deal with harassment. They're nicer about it. In Boulder, Colorado, half my face would have been smeared off on the concrete already. On the bright side, what you guys consider pushing my luck, I call fighting for our rights. If they can do this to me, they can do this to you. If the police decide that they want to bleed some little blonde girl who doesn't get what she wants, they can help to destroy your life and deny you any of your rights as a human being, and they can get away with it by calling you mentally ill and forcing you into homelessness and extreme poverty. Third world conditions in a first world country. How dare you defy us? Now we get to see with the Johnny Depp situation. All this Me Too, Me Too, Me Too movement stuff. Blaming everything on men. Everything is men's fault. But then we've got a man who, well, half of the women in the country have a crush on. This is Johnny Depp. This would be like, well, this would be like if George Clooney was having to go through this stuff. This would be like, who's another one of their heartthrobs? Brad Pitt. That was one from back in the day, I guess. So this Me Too movement, magically all of there, it's all men's fault, and we have to not listen to any male victims because it takes away from the female cause, because we as females are trying to say that all men are predatory. Meanwhile, we're seeing quite blatantly that women are allowed to be predatory. They are openly predatory towards men on Facebook, on YouTube, openly without consequence. The reason I have the evidence that I have is because these officers did these things openly. They slandered me openly in court. And, of course, they wrote things down on paper that were outright lies. The officers here in Hood River are pulling the same stuff. Them telling people that I'm doing drugs in my vehicle with other people and telling people that I'm schizophrenic increases the safety risk. And here's the thing. The reason that cops blow us off is because they can. They don't have to do their jobs. It is to their benefit to pretend that we're all a bunch of filthy slobs, intentional, on purpose, so on and so forth, while we don't have access to the basic stuff that you do. Meanwhile, most of us are out here due to victimization, and that includes victimization by the police. That includes Rebecca Gross-Nickel-Foley. That includes Mandy Singer. Mandy Singer is an important part of this story. See, all you guys cared about was the slander from Natalie and just wanted to assume it was true and it was just entertainment to you. Shit, my friends weren't entertained. They didn't even care. They looked the other way and still don't know shit. Not my choice, not my fault. I'm showing you blatantly and outright how these predators get away with committing these crimes, and I do include law enforcement in that. They know what they're doing is illegal. They're treating me like I am less than a human being, and that's why there needs to be someone present. The police claiming that my autism advocate was supposed to drive 9 hours from Lincoln, Nebraska to Chapel, Nebraska to take care of that shit with me, and she wasn't going to do that. But they just kept telling me that's her job. She's supposed to help me with it, so on and so forth. Well, she finally did actually try that. And she made me feel bad. Of course, she wants to let me know how much of an effort she's making. Well, finally, thank you. That's the thing, is that the cops still acted even after Meg explained to them that that's not their job. They still acted as if it had been all along. And when she did actually try that, she actually made calls with me, helped me to get a hotel room in Sidney, Nebraska, so that I could safely gather the evidence I needed to turn in Leslie Snell and to turn in Scott DaCosta and his deputies, and to turn in Robert Warnick, the registered sex offender. She was going to make those calls with me, and they made sure that they abused their power to cut me off. And Scott DaCosta, the very officer, the very sheriff that I had been trying to turn in since 2018, got to slander me in paperwork again, over and over. This is not okay, and these tactics are nationwide. The fact is, even here in Hood River, I have to worry about cops pulling these tactics. I have to worry about them threatening, harassing, and intimidating me for trying to get them to do their jobs, because in their minds, their job is to get rid of homeless people. Be that arresting them on false charges, pulling bogus BS on them, and trying to threaten, harass, and intimidate them into leaving. This is not fucking okay. This is everywhere we go, people. You say you should go here and you should go there. There's resources all over. Why don't you go to these resources? You've seen what happens when I call these resources. It's not their job, it's not their job, it's not their fucking job until the police run them off. We're not human beings to you, and this is not okay, it's not acceptable, and it needs to stop. The words of Kayla Trujillo and Dan Fabert alone are enough for at least 50 arrests. The words of Shannon Alvarado are enough for an additional 50 more, because they show I was telling the truth and that officers lied outright on that paperwork in order to prevent me from turning them in. The words of Aaron Cockerham and the words of Carl Rogers show that I was telling the truth too. All of these people do. And each one of them, the difference between my predators and your predators as well, being convicted of the crimes that they have committed, is whether or not people listen to those and look at those. This gaslighting isn't a joke. All of these people who are witnesses to it are also a part of it. You don't want to get involved after sticking your nose in it. You want to pass judgment upon me and tell me you don't want to get involved. You've already gotten involved by passing judgment upon me. You have already gotten involved by victimizing me over slander. So you are involved. These officers here in Hood River do not know who they're fucking with. I will speak out. And I do wholeheartedly expect them to either A, get violent with me, or B, try locking me up on bogus charges, probably after getting violent with me. Or C, trying to lock me up in a mental institution so that they can justify their crimes by having it written down that I'm schizophrenic to benefit them, to justify their slander. And that's the problem, is that these officers cannot diagnose somebody with schizophrenia. And the fact that they are doing this, and that they do this to homeless people nationwide, is not okay. The fact that this is one of their excuses for refusing to do their jobs for the homeless is not okay. How okay is it for a rape victim to be forced into homelessness and then victimized for being homeless? How okay is that? Happens all the time. And how do the police treat them? Like they're crazy. You must be crazy, you're homeless. They play on bias. They are not following the law. The officers here in Hood River have outright chosen to create a safety issue and a safety risk for me through lies and through slander. And then they want to tell me that this is a civil issue. No, it is not. This is called conspiracy, and it is not only immoral, it is highly illegal. There's a whole bunch of other charges that go along with it. These officers will be prosecuted. Most of my supposed help, these cowards hiding off in the woodwork who claim that they were going to help me, their solutions are all violent. People are allowed to get violent with me. They're allowed to physically assault me, and I'm the one who gets locked up. So instead of making those suggestions and those ideas, how about speaking up like I needed you to do on day one? Speak up. Instead of telling me, yeah, I know how horrible these people are. I've seen them doing it. I'm this and I'm that. And you know, if I was there, I don't need you to tell me that if you were here, you'd beat them up or you'd shoot them. I don't need that. That makes things worse. That makes me afraid to be around you or to speak to you because you are talking about killing people or harming people. And I have gone out of my way every step of the way to try to prevent that. But if that is your only solution, then you are part of the problem. They ignore all of the crimes against me until I have to do desperate things to be heard. This is not fucking okay. The longer they drag it out, the more likely it is that I'm going to be victimized further. And that is the problem with them dragging it out for 6 weeks, where I can never get any services at all here, and telling me that the developmental disability crap will take at least 90 days. I have been denied all of my protections under law. My disabilities exist whether I am able to get the paperwork all filled out and turned in or not. My disabilities do exist. The disabilities that the police keep trying to push on me and claim, well, the evidence is already up on my YouTube channel that those are lies. It is slander. It is false. And that they used those falsehoods to railroad me over and over in court. This is not acceptable.